Hey guys, Kev here, and I have a full review to do for you. This is the Kubey Ruckus, designed by Sharif Manganis. So I do not know Sharif. A couple of the dudes that I talk to a lot, like Said Stevie, Brandon Thrasher, I think Mattis Faction, they've had him on their live streams and stuff. I've heard he's a really cool dude. And this is the second design from him I've handled. The first one was, I believe, I always call it the Explorer, but it's actually something else, or vice versa. I can't ever remember the damn name of that. I apologize. That was, I believe, a Kubey as well. It was sent in to me by LeftyEDC Knives a few months ago. And I just wasn't a big fan of it aesthetically. The knife was perfectly fine. It was just the aesthetics that weren't for me. Now, this one I like a lot more. It's still, you know, it's got this thin handle right here that I don't love. That's just a thing on knives I don't love. But I do like the spear point blade shape. I like this little bit of a poon here. You got a little bit of a tactical hump here, kind of less Georgish, which I think is cool. The action on this one is absolutely incredible. Oh, I think it's called the Momentum, the other one. But anyway, I wanted to get into the full review, and then I'm going to pass this around to a couple of those guys, like Stevie and NAF Sergeant, Casey over at Knives Fast, Gideon's stuff. They were all interested in checking it out, and Kubey was very kind enough to send this my way, so I figure I might as well send it around to a few channels to check out. Right, guys? Right, guys? You want me to say guys and right a couple more times? I know you guys love that, guys. All right, let's get into it. Aesthetics. Yeah, again, not my favorite. Just not my bag, baby. But I do like this one a lot more than I like the Momentum. I, again, love that kind of spear point design. I like the handle shape in the back here. I just don't love the thinness right here. Not my thing. I don't love that there isn't like a dedicated spot to put my finger. Like, yes, you could use this as a choil, no problem. But no, it doesn't really seem made for that. And I feel like that's always a shame when you have a knife without a flipper tab. Like, you should have a choil, you know? Hardware looks good. I like the tooling. It looks really well done. The clip is your standard Kubey clip. It's black G10 and it's AUS 10 steel. And it does have this bead blast. It actually kind of looks a little bit stonewashed, but more of a bead blast, which I don't love, but at least it's not D2, right? So we're good there. Some size comparisons while we're talking aesthetics and whatever, specs and shit. The Kubey Royal from my homie Colin Mason Pierre right there. Probably the best Kubey out there right now. I have the Wee Civivi, oh, no, sorry, the Ferrum Forge Stinger right there. I have the Kaiser Mojave Outdoors Original right here. So these are some budget options. That's kind of the point. And then I have a prototype of a new Asher Spiro with studs right here, which is usually going to be 3 1/4, 3.3 inches of blade. So you can see there, the Ruckus is probably coming in around 3.4 inches, 3.3 inches, something like that. We grab our handy dandy ruler from NAFs. Shout out to KPL for providing that to the channel. If we rock that out to the tip-ish, yep, we're looking at about 3.4 on the, well, we'll call it 3.3 on the blade and 3 1/4 on the cutting edge. And then you have, for the handle, you have roughly 4 3/4. So if you can do math, which I can't, I think we're looking right around 7.8 to 8 inches on that guy overall, which is pretty cool. I always forget how good this Mojave knife is. Shout out to Backpack B for sending that to me, or giving it to me, actually. And let's put away the Royal just real quick. You can see that finish is very similar. Now, this one, I've had to flitz and put all types of, you know, rust erasers and shit to get rust off of multiple times. because it's D2 and bead blasted, so, you know, the finish is a little bit beat up. But it's got the same bead blasted finish, same pivot. G10, except this is grippy and this is more smooth and like a milled. Wow. Definitely nicer on this one. Oh, the tip actually hit me in the stomach, but it didn't get me. Didn't get me, did it? Nope. Lucky, 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 Kev. Dropping knives up in here like bombs. I love this knife, guys. Now, the D10 on this. All right, so here's the thing I want to talk about. This has a hole and a front flipper. D10 works great, right? Easy to flick, no problem. But it's definitely not a strong D10, right? Like, I can do that. This has studs and a front flipper. And you can hear a noticeable difference, especially right here. Listen. Hear that? And listen to this. Oh, you're not going to fail this. So, I find it a little odd. I would have preferred a little bit of a stronger detent on the Royal. It works just fine, and it's honestly not a complaint, but if the detent were a little stronger on this, I think it would be nicer, but not the end of the world or anything. All right, so ergonomics on this. Again, it's got that thin portion I just don't love, but it is very ergonomic in the hand. This feels good, I gotta say. This has absolute comfort right here. Now, yes, I kind of want to be up here, but I'm forcing myself back here, but it's not uncomfortable to do that. And it makes sense because I'm on this ramp and I got that jimping, right? So I can do my penetrating cuts because this is a Friday night gas station fight knife, all right? I just realized it gives me Microtech SOCOM Elite vibes. Huh? Maybe? But anyway, you got a little guard here, so maybe he's a tactical guy. I don't know. Yes, I would absolutely lose that fight. But anyway, it's comfortable in that grip. You can choke up, like I said, and then slide up here like this. Not terrible. And you can get into a pinch grip. This is rather comfortable to grab right here. I did cut a couple shipping labels. The blade is long enough, and it is a spear point that it's not my favorite to get to the tip. We've heard this story many times now. It's definitely fine. Looks like I took a chip out of the old vinyl here. It's definitely fine, but not my favorite, right? Like, if I'm going to be cutting shipping labels, I'm going to go to something like this. What I was carrying today, the Jaeger M, always checking for rust, because I had it in my sweat pocket. Did you see how I couldn't fire it out there? Just rode too high, I guess, yeah. Little size comparison for you. Does anybody ever line knives up like that? There you go. It is a little bit bigger. So actually it might be a 3.5 inch blade. But anyway, yeah, the pinch grip's good. It works fine, right? If you don't mind a spear point, drop point, whatever, then this is going to be great, right? You do have a flat grind or a saber grind, and I will say the grind is rather low, right? It starts here, and it's a flat, not a hollow, so it doesn't come down to the thinnest edge. Now, don't get me wrong. If you take some paper, you know, this is coming from Kubey, who is competent. This is going to be slicing through like butter, right? Honestly, feels better than a lot of hollow grinds because it's a flat grind. Which means it's going to glide better. You're not going to have that material coming up and out of the, you know, because of the hollow. And it doesn't have a belt satin. So, like, you know, I could take one of my Jack Wolf knives that's like 10 thousandths behind the edge, sharp as hell, and it would probably perform worse in a paper cutting test. But I'd much rather have that knife day to day, right? So it's not really the best test. We all know this. But anyway, it's definitely serviceable for an EDC knife. Very well done. They did a great job with the edge, of course, as always. It does maybe look like it has slight discoloration. Almost a little bit down at the edge. You guys see that? So I don't know if it's going to have a burnt edge situation or something. But that could just be nothing as well. It could just be the lighting. So I think cutting is fine as far as you guys want to listen to me when it comes to cutting. There you go. I carried this in my back left pocket. Had no problem. It does have the pinch clip, and that's my biggest concern with this knife, is that it's going to get caught if you wear jeans. So I have not been wearing jeans, so it's hard to say, right? But if you look at the Royal here, the biggest problem with the Royal is the clip. Because the clip, you see how it's pinched down so far? This is definitely taller, so they've done a good job at adjusting it. But I feel like it's still a little bit more bent than others, you know? Maybe not. I don't know. It just felt like it was kind of catching us a little bit. Like it never actually caught, but I could feel it wanting to grab on the way in. But I didn't actually have a problem, so it's hard to say that it is a problem. I just want to point it out. But they don't recess the clip. They recess the screws. So, you know, it does have a reversible clip. I just never got around to reversing it because I literally got this knife yesterday or the day before. I forget. And yes, I can review a knife in 2 days. But yeah, reversible clip, but it doesn't seat into the scale. You do have milling in here. You can see there's some milling in there on the liners. Let me grab, oh yeah, let me grab this. Sorry, I wasn't sure if I'm supposed to show this light yet. They sent me this to review, and they wanted me to put a video out a certain day, but I think that day has passed. There you go. You can see the milling in there. By the way, this is the Olight Arcfeld, and this thing's actually sweet. So you can click on and then cycle through like this. And then you can go over to this laser. And I tell you what, boy, my daughter loves that laser. So I actually kind of like this thing. Pockets pretty well. Charges really fast. Magnet on the back, like every Olight. Pretty cool. So anyway, there is milling there on the show side. There is a little bit on the lock side as well. And yeah, so the carry's fine. I mean, it's going to carry like any other G10 budgety knife. It doesn't weigh a ton. It's probably 4 ounces, I'd say. Maybe a little less. Sounds are really good on this guy. Really good. For a budget knife like this, I gotta give this an 8 out of 10. I mean, it's that good for one of these budgety type knives. Normally they don't sound this good, but it sounds so good because of that detent and the milling in there. I don't know if you can hear that. I need to zoom in because then the camera zooms in, or the mic zooms in. You ready? I don't know, it just sounds amazing. I really like it. You guys want to see a close-up of the knife? Here you go. Love the backspacer. It's a really unique detail on a knife like this. You usually don't get that. You get standoffs or whatever, and it usually is kind of ugly. I like how the screws have those little lips around them. Insert joke. They just have a lot of detail. Now, Kubey did their standard stupid thing where they wrap the backspacer up and around and then they extend the handle for no damn reason. It bugs the shit out of me. They added all of this handle for no reason. It doesn't need to be there. I will never understand why they do that. You do have this jimping on the lock bar, which normally I'm not the biggest fan of. But you get great access to it, and it works really, really well. Pardon my thumb. You guys complain about the shit I put on my thumb, then I take it off. Now you're going to complain about my thumb. You know, can't have it both ways, guys. Sorry. There's your front flipper. Very nice to deploy. There's your studs. Got a little bit of a dinosaur look to it. Maybe a lizard look. Nice swedging. Again, it's got that sort of Terzula, Les George kind of vibe to it. Os 10A, Manganus, Kubey, as Stevie would call it. All right, let's zoom out. And yeah, action / fidget factor we kind of just covered. I mean, the D10 is on point. I mean, it's not a dropper, but it's basically a dropper, right? Especially right-handed, you click that, it'll swing, and then it wants to go home. I mean, you barely have to do anything with this. So, really good action. The D10 is so good, and the flipper tab is fantastic. Doesn't go up and around, but it has enough grip that even with that good D10, man, you could fire it out. And I'd much prefer to have to put a little more pressure on a front flipper and have a good deployment on my studs or hole than have a good front flipper and have a light detent otherwise. You know what I mean? So I'll apply a little more pressure for that trade-off. So it works great left-handed, liner lock, all that good stuff. You can reverse flick this knife really easy. Again, D10's stout, but it works really well. I mean, it doesn't hurt. It just fires out. You can do the flick, or you can do the pressure push. Either one works. Slow roll. I mean, you can do whatever you want. This knife is sick, and you're not shaking it out, right? There's no shaking this guy out. So, yeah, really cool knife. I dig it a lot. I think it's going to be a popular one for Kubey this year. Definitely one of their nicer ones so far. I haven't seen a lot coming out of them, budget-wise or otherwise, so this is cool to see. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Shout out to Kubey for sending it my way, and keep an eye on those channels I mentioned earlier, and you guys will probably see this guy again. So love you all. I hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.